So, what happens when you run your truck low enough to get your fuel light on? What happens? Well, if you see my last video, you'll see a little experiment I did. Some people thought I was crazy. Some people thought I was just dumb. And, well, the one I really liked the most is a comment by Abraham Jackson. It said, "I've been in this game too long to be playing a fool's game." He knew what was up. He knew I've been too successful to be playing a fool's game. So he knew I knew what I was up to by not just playing a fool's game, chancing it. I knew I wasn't chancing it, and well, let's cut down to the numbers. I mentioned in there, these heisters are knocking my phone crazy. I knew what I was up against. I ran the numbers, and I've been experimenting here and there, seeing how far I can stretch out my fuel light. And I wouldn't recommend you doing this right up front without knowing your truck. I've had this truck this whole for last 10 months or so, 9 months running, and I've ran it. I know my truck. Let's just say that. I ran the numbers when my fuel light came on. I was south of Atlanta, right around McDonough, and I'd planned on stopping in McDonough and putting in about $50 worth of diesel fuel, just to, ensure me on home. And then I got thinking, I was like, wait, let's run the numbers on this and see what we're talking about here. So I ran the numbers, and the numbers said I had plenty enough fuel to make it. So what I done is, let's get a little understanding here. This is what I've done. You talk about me running the numbers, and you wonder, what do you mean by running the numbers on your fuel? And I've had this conversation with a couple folks, so I'm going to go ahead and make a video about it. Well, when you run your truck, and you know your truck, and you know what size fuel tanks you got, and if you have a trip economy on your dash, myself, I know mine's pretty accurate, as long as I don't idle, which I never idle, other than just warming up. Mine's always dead on, within, plus or minus a point or two. But that's just mine. Same difference on my last truck, the T660. And I check my fuel constantly. I reset my tripometer every fill up, and I'm constantly monitoring how much fuel consumption I'm using. So my truck personally, I've got 235 gallons. And being conservative here, being on the safe side, let's take off 10 gallons on the driver's side, 10 gallons on the passenger side, just to say safely I've got 215 gallons of usable fuel. All right? Because, let's just say you can't run every drip in your tank. So let's give it, safely say there's 10 gallons in there I can't use, leaving me 215 gallons of usable fuel. Now, my fuel gauge is connected to my driver's side tank. My driver's side tank is 100 gallons. So I know it goes down prematurely. I know the fuel light comes on prematurely because it's a smaller tank versus the passenger side, it's 135 gallons. So, and in history, it normally comes on when I'm 150 gallons low. Hold on a minute, I'm about to get my paperwork. Bear with me. We good to go, bro? Yeah. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate the quickness. Oh, yeah. And let's see here. Where was I? Yeah, the fuel light comes on about 150 gallons, so I know that it's premature. And knowing the numbers, knowing this, I've got about 215 gallons of usable fuel. It comes on at 100. The fuel light comes on at 150 gallons low. That tells me that I've got roughly 65 gallons left that I can use. So I've done the numbers and experimented a little bit. And well, here it is. When I cut that last video off, I pumped in 184 gallons. 184. Okay, 184 gallons from 215 gallons means I've got I had 31 gallons extra left. Will I push it past that? Again, not on purpose. But knowing that I can go 184 gallons, so whatever my trip economy says, now I was to say 184 gallons times 6 miles of the gallon, give you a roundabout average of how far I can go. But on this particular instance, is 184 gallons. Had 31 gallons left. Now, 31 gallons at 5.7, what I was getting on that trip, says I could go about 170 more miles. So pretty cool. The same number says at 150 gallons, when my fuel light comes on, I can go another 297 miles. I'm not going to push it that far, but just saying. When I ran the numbers, I came up with at least 1,200 miles I could run. When my fuel light came on, it was around 900 miles. And when I got 121 miles up the road, I was at 1,017 miles. Fuel gauge looking like, you're about to run out of fuel. So it's a little nerve-wracking, even knowing that you've got plenty of fuel in your truck. When you see that light on and you see the hand all the way down, it makes you a little nervous. So like I said, I've experimented with this quite often, and I've just reached up to the point where I just ran 184 gallons low. So on purpose, I won't do it again. I just like to find out what my truck's doing. And a lot of people say, you're going to be cleaning your fuel filters, yada, yada, yada. I'm down in Montgomery, Alabama, and drove 350 some odd miles since doing that. I checked my fuel filter. Let me show you here. My fuel filter, I don't know if you can see that gauge right there. It was on no boost. It was sitting on about 1. Full boost up a little slight grade, I was sitting on about 3.5 psi. So fuel filters are good, and I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know for sure, but I'm not too cautious about running my tanks low because my tanks stay clean. I can do it yourself. Just turn your camera on, turn the flashlight on or the light, and look down in your tank. Even hold your phone at an angle. You'd be surprised, maybe. I know I was, my last truck and this one as well. I've done that with both trucks, and they're spotless. They're clean as a whip. Only thing that's in there is fuel and the lines coming in, the supply lines and stuff. I don't know, maybe, just maybe, my tanks are clean because I always run them dry, or run them to the fuel light at least, and any garbage in there, I suck it up. But I've also never had a problem with fuel filters, which then again, every 15,000 miles, I'm looking for a speed kill. Sometimes I can nail it on 15,000 miles. Sometimes it takes me 16, 17, 18, 19,000 miles till I actually find one with the convenience of stopping and doing a full service on the truck. But that in a nutshell, that's what happens when you run your tanks low. If you do it for the first time, if there's any trash in the bottom of it, you're going to suck it up. You're going to clog fuel filters. I, for one, know that my tanks stay clean, so I wouldn't worry about that. Also, if you don't know the capacity of your tanks and you try to match it to what your truck's getting on miles per gallon, it's going to be hard to, you're going to be playing a fool's game. What you need to know is your tank capacity. So you got a 100-gallon passenger side, 100-gallon driver side, and let's say 10 gallons per side is not usable, meaning your supply line is not going to be able to suck up every bit of it. So I like to say 10 gallons is unusable. So let's say 90 gallons and 90 gallons, 180 gallons. If your truck if you got a fuel economy on the dash and it's saying it's getting 6 miles to the gallon and you hadn't done any idling, and I recommend experiment with this every fill up. Know if that trip economy is accurate or not. Then what you want to do is take 90 gallons, 100 what the hell? Sorry, 90 gallons, 180 gallons, and times that by whatever your dash economy says. If it says 6, whatever that mileage comes up with, that's how far you can run your truck. Me personally, I'm not going to run mine up to the 10-gallon mark per side, so 215 gallons. I'm not going to do that. But I would feel comfortable enough running. Sorry about that phone call. I would feel comfortable running up to at least 190 gallons low. So if the fuel economy says 6 and I'm gonna times it by 90 gallons and whatever it comes up with, say 1,180 gallons. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician in the head, but say it's 1,090 miles, and on my trip economy or tripometer, I've already ran 1,000 miles. So the numbers say I can go 90 more miles. So I'm going to be on Trucker Path looking for a place to fill up and find me a place within that 90-mile window. But anyways, guys, I hope that helped. That's what happens when you run your fuel light, there's a little bit of risk there, but if you know your truck and you know how reliable your dash economy is, or your trip economy, it's a pretty safe bet. But then again, don't run it if you got 200 gallon capacity. Don't try to fix those numbers at 200 gallons. I would say safely stick to 170 and under, 160. Just miles per gallon times 160. Whatever that comes up with, that's your window of range. But anyways, guys, till the next video, see you, bye.